On the Falcons thing, by the way, Pip, another thing I think is interesting is people are just, it's easy when Falcons lose to just pick those rounds because they clearly have those rounds where they're not a super like tight team cohesively. They do look like they do some loose shit. They have those rounds they lose that look really bad and everyone loves to bring them up and do those fucking, now the new meme is that like fucking the radar shot of the heads where they're all positioned because it's like one of those, unfortunate moments about to happen or some shit. You all remember iconically where they lost the 1v4 or 2vx or whatever. But bro, the part people are missing, I agree with you. I've had this team the whole time once I saw Keisuke was good as like a dark horse for the major because it's like, bro, if they don't get to that point, what have they fucked up? Because you look at the team now, except for the matches they lose, bro, they just blow people out the surfer. Like when those 3 stars do turn up, I haven't seen anyone able to frag with them so far, but you have to be like the absolute best team in the world. And you watch now, I looked it up now, here's the stat that no one's given them any credit for. Bro, if you go and look over the last 3 months on LAN, they now have the highest T-side round win percentage. Well, look, I also don't know if you can make all those roles work on CT, but on T-side, they've got some of the best fucking aggressive team players in the whole world. And I actually do think they look pretty dangerous. The problem I have is this, like, it's just more that they're a little bit more fragile, maybe. I feel like they either hit you like a sledgehammer or they'll just crack and break. But I tell you what, there's teams like that have won fucking majors before. If you hit the right heater, you get the right bracket. No, I'm with you. I think it's plausible, bro. Like, I would put it this way, I think this team absolutely should be in the semis at least, and at least have a chance. And by the way, if you are Arizonic and the rest of it, yeah, obviously it'd be great to have all the teamwork. But I'll tell you what, if I just get a chance at a semi-final where, yes, a Odyssey could pop off, Keisuke himself could go, because people are forgetting that, bro. He's only just played his first final, guys. Like, and we're all just so addicted to, like, the world of Donk that we all pretend like that's no biggie. Like, he's just supposed to walk into his first final and beat Vitality. Like, this is a tough ask. So I kind of think they're in a decent spot. I think people over-panicked early. We've gotten past that now, mate. In fact, the last few tournaments, they're even fairly consistent. Like, I think people have got to give Falcons a little bit of credit. You don't have to like the Saudi angle or any of the buying players. But that, for me, that's the off-season. We're past that. We're into the season now. You have to judge who you've got in your team.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and that's the scary part about Falcons. I think they're only just getting better. I think EWC was the first sign of them coming together, growing together. As you said, there's plenty of mistakes, there's plenty of silly moments, plenty of ridiculous rounds, but it does feel like it's becoming less and less significant, and it's happening less and less often. And then, as you said, when you have your individuals showing up, you see what one player can do in m0NESY having a fantastic showing in Pro League. What happens if Nico and m0NESY is having one of those OG tournaments where they both play well at the same time, and now all of a sudden your third best player within your team is Kirisuke, who is also getting better and better and better. I think, to me, that's the most... It's not a worrying sign. It's not a thing. It's just Kirisuke haven't hit his level yet. I think he's great, and I think he will be great, but I don't think he's played as well as he probably could already in Falcons, and I think he will get better. I think I'm seeing signs that he's maturing as well in different areas of the game, maybe feeling more comfortable as well. And then my thought process is, okay, what happens if Kirisuke overtakes Nico? And now Kirisuke is the second best player or performer within the team, and Nico is your third star. It's a ridiculous, sentence to actually say out loud. That just confirms how much talent there's within the team. And then Tessus, arguably the best Danish player as of right now. Yeah. Has been the best Danish player. Yeah. So your team is stacked with everything you need. And yes, they do rely on individuals, and that's always been the case of Falcons. But if you have a lot of individuals to rely on, then I don't see that as an issue. Had it been a one-team thing with Spirit and Donk, where it's mainly Donk and then no one else, maybe Tinea can be that secondary guy coming in together with Shiro. But it does feel like without Donk, especially with the way he's playing and how aggressive he is with the rifle, and then his counterpart in Shiro being so defensive. It's not like Shiro is picking up when Donk is not having a great game. It's Donk is activating Shiro because that gives him more space. I think that's an issue when you only have one player who can do it. Good thing for Spirit is that's Donk, the best player to touch the game as of right now. I don't see that as an issue in Falcons because there's too many great individuals that one of them can have a tournament off, or one of them can have a bad group stage or stage 2 or whatever, pop up in stage 3 or turn off in the playoff, and all of a sudden they win the entire thing. To me, Falcons is one of the teams that is actually showing progression from tournament to tournament, and I think they'll be better off hitting Budapest at the major than they are right now. And as I said, if Falcons turn up 10% better at the major, then they beat Vitality, the way they're playing right now. So I think that's also it's a warning sign to everyone else that if they want to be a contender for the major, they need to progress as well as Falcons is as well, because right now they're probably the team that is by tournament figuring it out more and more. By no means perfection, by no means have they ironed out all the issues, and then we can go into the whole pressure with Nico at majors, etc., etc. m0NESY at the last major as well also had a horrible showing. Maybe that's the one thing that can fuck it up for them, but overall as a team, the qualities they have, the coaching staff they have, the financial backing from Falcons. I know people don't want to speak about it, but they don't lack anything. If they want a boot camp for a month, in a 5-star hotel, getting massage every day, I'm sure they'll get it, So there's no excuse for not turning up to the major to be the best team they can possibly be. And if they are one of the favorites to win, no doubt.
And if you just look at this tournament, bro, how many times? I think they've beaten Mouse 3 times in a row now or something. Mouse is supposed to be, according to everyone else, a gatekeeper for the elites. They don't lose many series themselves, mate. So I feel like people also have to give them some credit at this point in time. My whole problem with the Falcons topic is this, bro. It's is everyone really just going to stay obsessed with the idea of the tour? This reminds me of football. It's when it's the off season, have all the discussions about, is this team spending too much and they're just trying to buy the title? Wow, are they doing good? But yeah, okay, but once the season starts, you just play with the players you've got, and the question is, what football do you produce on the fucking pitch? It's not then about at that point. It's like that famous Johan Cruyff quote: I've never seen a bag of money score a goal. Even if you've got all the sick players, but I've seen some fucking Barca and Real squads over the years that had amazing lineup, then they didn't work in the actual pitch. They couldn't get it to work. Obviously the classic thing is the England team's done that a million times, where they had all the great midfielders, but they can't operate together. So to me, I don't know why everyone has to keep obsessed with it, because I do feel like people have set this standard for Falcons that bro, they have to just win the major and everything, and if they don't, everything else is complete failure, which is I can't view it on that level. As an org, okay, but when we talk about the tournaments like this, we're talking about the team, bro. I'm talking about which players enter the server, how do they play together, what does Sonic do with them, based on what he's then seen, what changes does he make? I'm past the whole, they spent 10 million to 20 million, whatever the fucking amount is. I'm with you. I'm more interested in right, I know this squad now. I agree. If you watch where it began with Kiyasuke, it was way rougher than this, bro. It's coming together a little bit in every tournament. In fact, you'd actually even say, if you look out by how many tournaments we are out from the major, they're actually on the right trajectory to even get there. They could actually be a finalist or a winner of the major if they just keep going at a little 5% improvement. I do think you've seen cohesion that didn't exist before for this squad.
That's why I want to give credit to and at least spurring the conversation that you have Sonic as a coach, and you may be critical of what he's been able to get out of the former iteration of Falcons. You have Lars Ruppel, being the performance manager as well. Basically the same setup Vitality had when they had Dupree and they won the major in Paris. They constantly, and I remember I was covering the major for Danish television and a lot of the tournaments leading up to it. We got a lot of Danish interviews with Ruppel and a lot of Danish interviews with Sonic, and all they said for half a year that yes, this tournament is of course important. We want to do our best here, but it's all about the major. We're looking at the major. We're trying to get good for the major, right? That was the whole concept. That was the whole line of thought, and I sense the same thing now. Whenever you hear from Sonic, whenever you hear from any of the players, yes, they of course. They reflect on the moment that is right now, but they always had the major in the back of their mind. That's when they want to peak. That's when they want to be at their best, right? And let's be honest, Sonic has done that a couple of times with Astralis. He's done it with Vitality. Lars Ruppel did it with Astralis. He did it with Vitality. If that's installing right now a mindset, I think, within Falcons, that as long as they get better tournament by tournament, game by game, they also all of a sudden start to believe that, oh, well, Sonic did it with Astralis. He did it with Vitality. Now he's doing it with me. He's doing it at Falcons. And all of a sudden the entire organization and all the players start to believe that as long as they put in the work and as long as they progress from tournament to tournament, they can do exactly what Vitality and exactly what Astralis did with the same manpower behind them, which was Sonic and Lars Ruppel driving that whole performance model or whatever the hell they want to do, right? So I think as much as we want to throw in the argument that yes, Nico's major hurdles and Monacy not playing well, at the last major, etc., that could be an issue, and it still could. I think a counterpoint to that would be that we've seen Sonic do it before, we've seen Lars Ruppel do it before, we've seen that approach, where yes, you're happy making the final at Pro League, but it doesn't matter as long as you get better for the major. Yes, you're happy winning a tournament or getting into a semifinal, but at the end of the day, doesn't really matter as long as we feel we're getting better for the major. So I think that's the mindset they're working with right now, that the only thing that really matters for Falcons is coming into the major, peaking. And I think, as you said, judging by how they're playing right now, it looks like they are on track to do that. Since Cologne, first tournament with Kiyasuke, they played 15 series. They won 12 of those series. That's not a bad thing. They've lost only 3 games, and a couple of those losses were ridiculous. One to Aurora at EWC, where they shouldn't have lost. Yep. Then they lose a grand final to Vitality. That's fair enough. Vitality plays good Counter-Strike, and I think the last loss they had was against Furia or something, Furia, yeah, exactly. A team that we speak about a potential major winner as well, or at least a dark horse. So it's not like they're losing to teams they're supposed to beat, The Aurora one is the only one where I'm like, okay, that was a day off. Apart from that, it's looking good. In those 12 victories in the 15 games, they beat their opponents 2-0 in 8 of those games, so they dominate them. It's not like we're going into a 3-map series, double overtime, etc., etc. As you said, they outright outskill their opponents. And we're talking G2, we're talking FaZe, we're talking Mouse for that matter. We're talking some of the best teams in the world. So I I think the better way to do this is if you ask all the other teams right now, who would they fear the most facing in a semifinal at the major right now? I bet you 9 out of 10 teams would have Vitality in that mix. They don't want to play Vitality, obviously. They don't want to play Falcons, and they don't want to play Spirit because of Donk, not because of Spirit, but because of Donk. Those are the teams you don't want to face in a semifinal and a major. And if you ask every other team out there, they'd probably say the same thing. So regardless of you liking how they run their operation, the Falcons brand, etc., if you just look at where they're at right now and look at the player material they have to work with and, take the players' word for it, you may not like us saying it, but if you listen to your favorite players saying that I don't want to play Falcons, that they're probably going to beat me in a semifinal, then if you don't believe them, then who do you believe, So I think... The more I think about it, the more as I said before, I have Falcons above Spirit in that pecking order. I would probably rather face Spirit in a semifinal, depending on what team I'm on, than Falcons, because there's just too much skill and too much going the right way right now for Falcons.
No, I know what you mean. What if people don't get it? One of the things that keeps making me have the epiphany, like I'm probably going to have to have this Donk guy as the GOAT of all CS, is every time I think the same thing, Pimp. I always think whenever Spirit play any big playoff match at a Cologne, a Katowice, a major, I always think... But even though it is like you're playing one player that's the best, that in theory is easier to shut down or avoid than if you have like a three-headed monster like this. Like in this, like as we're talking about, you could actually have a game where Nico plays like shit and they still dominate you because the other two guys can go fucking crap. That is actually, I know what you mean. Conceptually, that's harder to deal with, I feel like. It's actually why back in the day, even when people like Simple were the GOAT, you'd rather play them with fucking Zeus and Edward next to them, mate, than play like FaZe or something that had like, 3 or 4 names that were all really good and the base level of the teams. I know what you mean. It's actually an angle that's underrated. And if you did what we do at Pro League, fully enough, and had all the teams seed again where they seed the opponents, I bet if you had them seed right now, it would just be that top 3 in whatever order, mate. Absolutely. Yeah. Like anyone believing, like, no, but look at the teams in the game. What about Mongols? I'm sorry, I just refuse to believe the other teams would pick Mongols as more scary than Falcons. They might be a better team. You can argue that if you want, or, how they play the game might be better. But I in terms of fear factor, people, no, this is where fans do get it twisted and they forget what it's like to be a pro. I don't know what the pros think about Keisuke, but the pros definitely respect Nico and Odyssey. Like they absolutely, it doesn't matter what form they're in, they know that those players can wake up and kick your ass.
They can. It's for me. It's been annoying to follow Falcons because I've been saying the same thing for a long time. I think that's where a lot of people don't want to believe in Falcons, that we've been saying the same thing for quite some time, that they've always lacked that one player and then they got another player and then they lacked another player. But now there's no excuses. I feel like said that now he has the lineup, It's always been, then we get Nico, but we didn't get Monacy when we wanted him, right? Now we got Monacy, but now we have Keisuke as well. And the next thing you'd be like, okay, should we switch out Kixen maybe for a better in-game leader? Should you remove Tessus and find a role player that is not trying to become a role player, but is actually role player by nature, which Tessus is not necessarily, at least not to the degree that he's being forced to in Falcons. So you can always make the case that you can always upgrade your lineup. I even heard the rumors about Bit maybe joining Falcons instead of Tessus, which would have been ridiculous. Like that would have been a team you just can't beat because there's so much skill on it. It almost feels like. So there's still potential to do more with your Falcons, and that's the scary part for me. That if they fail the major, let's say that they don't win or they don't go into the semifinal, I feel like if they want to just buy Bit then, and replace this and see what that does to your lineup, or get an in-game leader with a little bit more tenure or whatever, imagine an Alexi B. I don't even know. That's a weird concept, Alexi B and Falcons, and would that work out? Probably not, but it's you could even change your coach shunning in that regard if that's what you want to do. There's still things you can do within the Falcons camp to become the best in the world, but I firmly do believe that they have what it takes now. Like I think the current lineup is good enough to win the major, yes, and to become the best team in the world as a consequence of that, if they figure it out. And seemingly by the results and how they play right now, they're trending in the right direction. And I think that's maybe a way we can divert the conversation into some of the other teams as well. I feel like they're one of the few top teams right now trending in the right direction. If I look at Mouse, if I look at the Mongols, if I look at Navi for that matter, if I look at Aurora, they're all stagnated or they're declining. They're not getting better.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.